an insurrection. I don't care what you're going to call it. I don't care how you want to whitewash it. Nobody who stood up and condemned that and is today silent after those pardons should be able to look at themselves in the mirror.
You're talking about a man who didn't become the president of the United States because of merit.
And not to waste time on doing things that bring you no joy and make you infuriated, like watching her swearing in.
This was the biggest middle finger he could give the entire country. It had this like godlike complex without any Jesus qualities.
Wasn't thrilled about Biden issuing pardons of his own on the way out.
I was not offended by Biden pardoning his family. The hypocrisy, I think it's really disgraceful.
What's going on, guys? We got to talk about the Cackling Hens of The View. And to my surprise and shock, they actually didn't have a whole lot of negative things to say about the Trump inauguration yesterday, except for the fact that I'm lying. And of course, they were having meltdowns about this. Of course they were. You know how these hens operate. They bark, 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 cluck, 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 until the cows come home. They spew nonsense. They're a bunch of haters and a bunch of losers. That's what they do, and we're here to laugh at them together in all of their freaking misery. A bunch of miserable old hags, and I can't wait to do it. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Yesterday, did something happen?
Oh man, they freaking cheated us. This is like the second time this happened. Whoopi Goldberg ain't here. She wasn't here. It was either no, it was some other I think it was after a debate or something. Whoopi Goldberg skipped town. How the hell she keeps skipping town around these important events? I want to see her cry.
A certain person, Donald Trump, was sworn back into the White House as the 47th president. Now, high profile.
I watched it, just the speech part. A lot of the revelry, it was hard because this is not someone I voted for. So I did not feel like sitting around and watching it because I immediately couldn't reconcile the way I see the country and the people and how it is right now and where he saw it. He didn't say carnage, but he said carnage pretty much in everything else. Do you remember the reference from his first inauguration when he said carnage?
Hello, like, did you not notice the sky-high prices, the open border, the wars all over the world? I don't understand how much loudly, like, for crying out loud, we elected a person who y'all called Hitler. That clearly means the Democrats were doing something wrong. What are you smoking?
You can't save this place, but I can. And like, it had this like godlike complex without any Jesus qualities. Like it was kind of like a juxtaposition. But
I mean, look, that's just because you see Trump like that. At the end of the day, this dude is just a man, but he's a damn good man that's gonna make America great again. It's real simple.
The hypocrisy of having a man be inaugurated to be president on the same day as we commemorate MLK. And that same man saying that he was going to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion. He had no political experience whatsoever. He had no business experience. He was given everything that he has. He is a legacy hire. He is, if anything, a DEI hire, a didn't earn it hire. And so
this has got to be one of the stupidest takes that I've ever seen Sonny Holston make. Donald Trump has been in construction and real estate his entire life, and still to this day has Trump Tower. That's something that he built himself. Sonny Holston is out here on a TV show on ABC just talking crap every day. There's a big difference, and he's run the country before. She wants politicians who have been politicians their whole life like Joe Biden and never really accomplished anything good to continue to run things into the ground and never make any real progress in anything.
When we talk about guardrails, you said no one's there to check him. His own vice president, J.D. Vance, said a week ago that if you committed violence on that day, January 6th, obviously you shouldn't be pardoned. His attorney general last week said...
The question that I would pose here is who committed violence against who? So if a police officer violently attacks me, presuming that they're in the wrong, and they initiate the attack, and then I do anything to defend myself, they could say that I attacked them. You think that in the police report, they're going to write down well, I attacked this person and then they attacked me back in self-defense, but I attacked them first. You think they're going to say that? Because I showed you guys the footage. For those of you who've been around on this channel long enough, I got a whole playlist for January 6th.
We're trying to get through the gate. Yep, they're deploying flashbangs on us.
Shooting into their own people. We're supposed to be supporting Blue Lives Matter. We represent Blue Lives, and this is what they do to us.
Stingball deployed! Stingball deployed! Stingball deployed!
Chucking grenades at us.
If they'd never thrown the concussion grenades, if they'd never used the pepper spray, this wouldn't have happened. It was a peaceful protest. I was standing within 15 feet of the line of officers. They started firing at us before anybody did anything to them. We were not rushing them. There was no advance on them. They just started throwing concussion grenades and pepper spray.
They've been tear gassing us.
Where people are just protesting and they're not doing anything at all. And then the police start shooting smoke bombs and rubber bullets at people, riling them up and pissing them off, making them want to defend themselves, including throwing the smoke bombs back. When they're beating people with batons, they start taking the batons. The people who have flags, they start swinging their flags at them because they're getting pissed off at them. And you could argue easily self-defending. So if somebody does something to you, how many times does it take? If they throw 10 smoke bombs, is it okay to swing a flagpole at them? I mean, in my opinion, one time is too many, but let's keep going.
I condemn any violence on a law enforcement officer in this country. 60% of Americans don't agree with pardoning them. This was the biggest middle finger he could give the entire country out of all of his options.
Donald Trump said that he was going to pardon the January 6ers. He never once said that he was not going to pardon January 6ers, and he was asked about this all the time. So Americans knew what he was going to do. The fact is, if people cared about January 6th that much, nobody would have voted for him. That's the truth.
Law enforcement in particular, and he ran on this, I'm going to be a law and order president, which a lot of the Republican Party runs on that platform. And so I think it's really disgraceful.
Where's the outrage for like all of the Biden pardons? There was so many Biden pardons, including for a bunch of people who had murder convictions.
President Biden announcing the commutations of 34 of 40 federal death row inmates, those benefiting, including child killers and mass murderers like Jose Oliva Torres, who was put behind bars after murdering 2 little girls and a woman between 2005 and 2009. Torres stabbed an 8- and 9-year-old girl after sexually assaulting them in a Chicago suburb in 2005. Then 4 years later, he strangled 20-year-old naval officer Amanda Snell to death in Arlington, Virginia.
Another one is convicted murderer Thomas Stephen Sanders. He shot a 12-year-old 4 times, cut her throat in Louisiana back in 2010. He now gets life.
Sure. I think it was prudent that Joe Biden preemptively pardoned people like Dr. Fauci and Mark Milley, who are political targets for Donald Trump. He has expressed that. I was floored that Joe Biden pardoned his whole family, and let me tell you why.
Why are people making, this is the stupidest excuse ever, because you think that that Donald Trump might politically target a political opponent, something that you claim the left hasn't done, cannot do, the justice system is fair, nobody's above the law, so on and so forth, but then turn around and just preemptively pardon people so they can't be investigated, they can't be charged if you do find anything. That makes absolutely no sense, and that goes against the whole justice system is fair, the DOJ is fair. It goes against everything that they've been saying. It demonstrates that you don't believe that it's fair. It can be weaponized, and you knew it all along. That's why people don't trust you. They don't trust the legal system. They don't trust the government at large. They don't trust the fake news. They don't trust anything, because honestly, they shouldn't, because it's all a bunch of corruption. Every last one of these people, especially in the Democrat Party, a lot of people in the Republican Party too, but mainly in the Democrat Party, are a bunch of corrupt bureaucrat liars who will use any and every tool they can to control, destroy, and ruin another colleague, Americans, and whoever the hell else gets in their way.
And it sets a very dangerous precedent. Now Donald Trump can basically advise staff and his family to do anything unlawful and then just issue a blanket pardon when he leaves office. I think it was disgraceful, and it's going to harm his legacy.
Yeah, it's about time some freaking body spoke at least with a little bit of sense. Alyssa, we already know that Alyssa is fake anyway, because she, it seems like, in my opinion, pretends as though she has all these issues with Trump because she doesn't want her colleagues to basically treat her like crap, both on and off set. But at least she spoke some truth to power here.
And I just say, I think comparing Biden's pardons to Trump's is like comparing apples to Volkswagens.
Seems really similar to Jared
It does not seem similar to me, because Joe Biden's family and the people he pardoned in the January 6th committee have not actually committed crimes. He is trying to
How the hell do you know that? They haven't committed. What makes you the arbiter of who committed crimes? Because, in your opinion, because you said so, we can't even look into their crimes. But because you said Trump and his family and his co-conspirators or grannies on January 6th who happen to be waving flags near the Capitol because they happen to be present, they get to go to jail. Some of whom never even had a trial, just sitting in jail. Just maybe tomorrow I'll get out. No. These people are corrupt as hell, and they deserve to get out of jail. They already were in prison, many of them, for 4 years straight. Get that through your head.
Prevent them from spending the rest of their lives fighting the government, which is no easy feat. It was an insurrection. I don't care what you're going to call it. I don't care how you want to whitewash it. Nobody who stood up and condemned that and is today silent after those pardons should be able to look at themselves in the mirror, because you have no morals. You have
this lady has justified. I mean, you got a son who is using drugs, buying hookers, got illegal guns. Dr. Fauci is responsible for the deaths of millions of people with false information, going way back to even before the pandemic. Like, he got a whole life full of a bunch of BS that he's done, a bunch of lies that he's told throughout his entire career. His whole family's pardoned preemptively for like a 10-year period. Guys, I don't want to hear none of this fake outrage about January 6th when Joe Biden just issuing pardons. He just pardoned people left and right. It makes no sense. If Joe Biden has his reasons why he thinks it's right to pardon people, then Donald Trump could have his reasons why it's okay to pardon whoever he likes to pardon. And guess what? There ain't a damn thing you could do about it, especially when you're setting a stupid negative precedent for yourself, making yourself and the January 6th committee and everyone else look guilty as hell.
I was not offended by Biden pardoning his family, because I think...
we're so surprised. We're so surprised that you have no problem with something that Joe Biden did. Who freaking knew that Sonny would not be problematic with anything that Joe Biden did?
Just like Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you or tells you who they are, believe them the first time.
Right.
We've already had a Trump presidency. We know that this administration is a vengeful one. We know this is a vengeful man. And if
he literally has never come after anybody politically using the justice system ever. So what the hell is these people's problem?
I can protect me and mine, I would do that. And so I think we need to show Joe Biden some grace. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about that
Guys, I've seen a lot of people trying to make arguments like, okay, Joe Biden hasn't pardoned anybody that's committed any type of violent acts against police officers and stuff like that. First off, that's not true. He has. He's literally pardon a person who has killed FBI agents.
President Joe Biden, in one of his last acts in office, decided to commute the sentence of Leonard Peltier. Peltier was convicted in the deaths of 2 FBI agents on the reservation, but he was viewed as a political prisoner and wrongfully convicted by his supporters, and they believe his release sends an important signal to the tribes. Commuting the sentence means that Peltier will be able to serve the rest of his 2 life sentences in home confinement. He'll be able to go home from prison and live out the rest of his days on the reservation in North Dakota.
Right, so I guess if you don't count them as police officers, I guess the FBI agent murderers is okay. In addition, just because somebody isn't a violent offender doesn't mean that they're not a scummy person. For example, you have the whole kids for cash situation in which Sleepy Joe pardoned a person who literally was convicting innocent kids so that he could get paid for it.
Actions. You need to be. Do you remember me? Do you remember me? Do you remember my son? An all-star wrestler? He's good. He shot himself in the heart. You scumbag.
A heartbroken, really an outraged mother lashing out at former Judge Mark Civarella. Now, her son, an all-star wrestler, killed himself after being sent to a juvenile detention facility for a minor drug offense. Now it turns out that Civarella was accepting money to do that, send kids away for cash. The former judge was convicted yesterday of 12 counts, including racketeering and money laundering.
Joe Biden gave the Kids for Cash judge clemency. That's how broken the process is. And they go on to say, to maximize the payout, they often gave kids the harshest possible sentence. Young people who were first-time offenders and probably should have received a warning or community service would end up locked up. Some were younger than 13. What the judges did caused tremendous harm to thousands of young people and their families. 1 man died by suicide. Many youth became depressed and dropped out of high school.
I was filled with every kind of emotion, hurt, defeat. Now that I've had more time to process it, it's more of anger.
I'm willing to bet you that Anna Navarro, Sunny Holston, probably not Joy Behar because she kind of stupid, but I bet you that the 2 of them are familiar with this Kids for Cash situation. And they don't care about it, not even a little bit, because it would make their messiah, Sleepy Joe Biden, look bad. Okay, these people have a insane sense of loyalty, a cult-like sense of loyalty to the radical leftists, and they're not going to let it go. They will say anything, they will lie about anything, they will obfuscate and mislead in any way, shape, or form in order to have their way, get their point across, accomplish their mission of keeping Democrats in complete control, which is all that they want at the end of the day, whether it makes sense or not. They don't care about you, and they certainly don't care about the rest of America and the world. They just care about what they want as individuals, regardless of the world could be burning down around them. And as long as they're okay in their own little bubble, they don't mind, not even a little bit. But these are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate y'all watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
I think Biden holds himself on this certain moral high ground, and he's setting a very dangerous precedent.
Against
that's
a very dangerous man.
Yes, that's going to allow that man to basically give blanket pardons to anyone who chooses to
But he would do it
crimes.
anyway.
But now we can say he did it too.